I think the next most important to talk about, how does the law of cause and effect work, right? So what are beliefs consist of, right? I know we talk about beliefs are the foundation for the mind, or the building blocks of the mind. So what are the beliefs made out of? Well, beliefs are made out of your thoughts, right? Your thoughts essentially determines what type of beliefs you have, and those beliefs determine what type of emotions you're going to have, and what type of actions you're going to take, and then what type of reality you will create, right? So this aspect of learning the cause and effect, and how thoughts themselves can influence your emotions, actions, and reality is very important to understand, especially how it affects your beliefs. And there's a major difference between thoughts and beliefs. And we talked about this extensively before, but one of the things that I want to help you guys understand is that thoughts might not be beliefs, right? Beliefs are things that you agree upon, that you live by, that you think about all the time. But thoughts are not necessarily the things that you live by or don't even believe in. Because sometimes, when you're in university, you might learn ideas or thoughts from your professor that you might not agree with, but they have not become a belief. They have not become your emotions, right? So main thing to understand is that beliefs are things that you agree with, that you say, no, that's true for me. But thoughts might not be. But the thing is understanding the type of thoughts that you're exposed to, the type of ideas that's exposed to, especially through repetition, becomes your beliefs. So if certain ideas, certain thoughts become repeatedly comes to your life through either books or through other people, through your family, through your society, through your friends, or through your work, right? Some of those thoughts can become your beliefs when you started to agree with them. So that's really why even many religions, right, especially in Buddhism, it say the thoughts are a major factor or major aspect that we are asked to observe, because thoughts can determine literally our reality, our actions, our emotions, and our beliefs. So understanding the where you're getting these thoughts from, and understanding whether the thoughts you are having, either positive or negative, can have a huge impact on your life, right? So specifically, positive, constructive, empowering thinking can yield to positive emotions and positive behavior, and obviously then positive reality, right? So we talk about some of the riches that you can have when you can control your mind, and some of those things that when you have positive thinking, empowering thinking, that you can have is more peace of mind, more happiness, more of labor of love, more wealth, right? So this is very important to understand, that what thoughts, what ideas, what books, type of teachers that you listen to can determine the type of thinking you're going to be thinking about. What are the thoughts that you're going to be contemplating about? So if you have destructive, right, negative thinking or limited thinking, this can lead to negative emotions and behavior. And obviously, negative emotions and behavior leads to aspects such as fear, worry, anger, sadness, doubt, procrastination. So I see the majority of many people that I find, without knowing, they suffer from anxiety. Anxiety is another word for fear, right? They suffer from worry, and most of the time when I talk to them, they don't really know it's their own thoughts and beliefs that leads to these type of emotions, these types of actions, that actions such as procrastination, which is inaction, right? So many people unfortunately don't know, negative destructive thinking or limited thinking leads to that. So what is an example of limited thinking? Criticizing yourself for some things you have done in your past, or criticizing others for making mistakes. And one of the main things that I struggle was basically criticizing myself for some of the projects or some of the things that I wanted to do, but I didn't do. So I didn't know. I thought, you know what? I'm keeping myself accountable. I'm giving constructive criticism. But what was actually happening to my subconscious mind is that it was becoming more negative. which led to more fear and worry and procrastination rather than feeling empowered. Rather than feeling happy, I was starting to feel more sad and upset with myself because I couldn't accomplish these things that I wished, or accomplish these things that I said I was gonna. So we mistakenly, unfortunately, judge ourselves and criticize ourselves, thinking that we're doing the right thing. But much of the time, what I discovered is that critical thinking, criticism, specifically self directed criticism, doesn't help us with our peace of mind. And that is actually a major reason why we don't have peace of mind, or we don't have happiness, or we can do things that contribute to the world and develop better status or better wealth in our lives. Right. So this is a very major important aspect that I discovered for myself is, learning how to let go of, comparative thinking. Again, when you compare yourself to other persons, right, other people specifically who are doing better than you, you're literally criticizing yourself. Why can't you're literally telling your subconscious mind, using your subconscious mind to say, why aren't you not any better? So what it's going to do is that it's going to find more reasons why you are not better. It's not going to improve your activity more. Okay, so that's important to understand. What I see is that there's areas of improvement, but even if you hear some criticism, if it's not in, so for example, say that if somebody says like, I don't know anything to do with cars, so if you ask me to go do an oil change or whatever, right, do something with the car, somebody might ask constructive criticism. They're like, you should know at least to take care of your car better, right? I was like, I have no interest in that. I'll just get somebody to do it. So somebody might think that's constructive criticism, but I don't even consider that to be an area of improvement, right? So sometimes it might not be more relevant to you even when you're hearing. Even sometimes you might say, "Oh man, I need to, become a writer," but you might not even interested in that, right? Somebody might even say you need to write better. It's like I'm not interested in that. So that might be seen as constructive criticism. But if you're always thinking about what you're not good at continuously, that is not going to help you. But if you identify, what, there's an area that I need to improve, that I can get better from where I'm already at, that is different. So that's why I differentiate between area of improvement versus even criticism. Criticism just identifies what you're not good at and doesn't give you really a pathway to get better. But area of improvement is like, what? That's something I can improve from where I'm at. You're not bad already. You're not bad. You just need to improve from where you are at. So this is one of the things, even it's because this is the thing. What I've noticed is that it's important to know how to talk to the mind, right? So when we sometimes take other people's criticism and we believe it, our mind just starts to replicate it. If you believe like you're bad at something, your mind goes, okay, I guess you're bad. Okay, we'll show you how you're bad at it. But if you say like, I'm improving on it, and there's an area of improvement, it's like, okay, mind's go, okay, that's an area of improvement. Let's see what we can do to make it improve it better. So how you really talk to your mind is really important. This is really, because this is not really per se about you, right? I'm not saying, this is who you are and this is who you're not. I'm saying there's really a mechanism on how to interact with the mind, how to talk to the mind, how to behave with the mind in order for it to get it working behalf of you or for you. So I know that is a little bit of too much writing on that, but I try to cut it out as much as I can. But I thought it might be still kind of useful to talk about it, because I try to put it in bullet points, didn't really work out. So I still kind of, use it. This is actually coming from my book. So I'll kind of like talk about this instead of you needing to have to read it. So the key to understand is that as soon as your subconscious mind, right, you will see right here specifically, right, we talk about how the mind has 3 levels, right? But specifically the subconscious mind, as soon as the subconscious mind accepts an idea or a thought or thought pattern, it immediately begins to put it into effect. So the way it put it into effect, it started to figure out, okay, what are the related beliefs you have? And then it started to activate your emotions, because now if your beliefs are activated, and if the belief is strong enough with the idea or thought that you found, it will start activating your emotions, and it will also cause you to act in specific ways. And also that will affect your reality. So as soon as, specifically if an idea has been repeated multiple times, sometimes even it doesn't even need it sometimes multiple times. If it once the subconscious mind accepts a specific idea or a thought pattern, it will start putting into it, putting into action immediately. So that's one of the main things you want to know, is that there is a way to reprogram the subconscious mind. First is, we'll talk about how to reprogram your mind, but understand that the subconscious mind is very receptive, and it doesn't argue with you. It doesn't debate with you. If you say this is true for me, it says, okay, we will start putting into action. Okay, so that's really important to remember. Again, this is nothing to do with how you are. This is how your mind that we didn't know about for a long time works. So that's important to understand how ideas and thoughts work. And one of the main things is that this aspect known as the superconscious mind, right? So the subconscious mind is connected to this aspect known as the superconscious mind, which has unlimited energy and resources. So there's no really a limit to the superconscious mind, right? So the more you can work with the subconscious mind to use the superconscious mind, you will see that there's a lot of things that you can learn, even these understandings coming from the superconscious mind. Again, these are not things that I expected to find. These are some of these things that I'm talking about was almost, given to me or discovered for me to share, to learn for myself, to understand for myself, but to share with others. Especially I had this, strong intent or desire to really help people with their mind. It's one of my biggest goals in my life, is to really help people awaken their mind to their who they really are. To first of all, to help them awaken to really who they are, and then also awaken their mind so they can use the mind for their benefit, their own personal mind for their benefit. So this is one of my biggest and strongest desires in life. And because this is one of my desires and intents, it accesses the superconscious mind, and it will use every bit of knowledge that I have collected, to even some of the things that I've forgotten, to bring it to its purpose, to its desire. So it was my subconscious mind will literally access the superconscious mind to find and help me achieve my goals and my ultimate purpose. And you will see that the more you understand, the more you will see, the more you understand, you will see that it naturally started to activate mental laws that you have as well. The more you use your subconscious mind, the more you use your superconscious mind, that you will see that the more it activates, the more you can activate these laws for your benefit. These One of the things about these laws is that whether you know about it or not, it's still working, right? It's not like you need to wait there and then activate it or things like that. It's already activated, but it activated on based on the ideas, based on the beliefs that you already have. So it's our responsibility to determine which type of ideas and beliefs we started to think about, contemplate about, and use for our advantage. So this is really the case. So the perfect example I always give to people is, think about gravity. Whether you believe in gravity or not, it's still working, right? So it's up to us to see, to use it for advantage, right? So, same with laws of thermodynamics, right? These laws are not there because of our opinion. These are there because of by law of nature. So same with the laws in the mind. They are not work based on our opinion. They are already working underneath. They're working behind the scenes. I just decided to find what these things that our mind is governed by, right? So this is what I want you to understand. So as you become more aware about your thoughts through your conscious mind, right? You can direct your thoughts in a direction that is most beneficial to you. Again, this is not something I knew before how to do, but when I understand these laws more and more, I'm able to direct my own thoughts, own beliefs a lot easily to the areas, to goals, to purposes in life that is most beneficial to me and to others. And one interesting thing I found about the mind is that the more I use the mind for the benefit of all, including myself and others, the better the state of the mind you become, the better state of mind that I have. Again, you're using a law called do unto others is done upon you, which is law of giving and receiving, which is one of the laws we will talk about in laws of the mind. But you will see this pattern. The more you focus on using your own mind for greater good for all, the better state your mind will be and the more riches that you will attract. And you will also, interestingly enough, be able to better control your mind as well. So which is a very interesting find I found about the mind is the more you use it for the benefit of all, remember this, the more you use your mind for the benefit of all, including yourself, right? You cannot be criticizing and punishing yourself when you're doing this. That is especially important. The more you use your mind for the benefit of all to contribute to others and to yourself, the better you're able to control your mind, better state your mind will be in. A state mean by happiness and peace and joy. So very important to remember that again, this is something that has been helping me a lot. And then you will see that the more you understand these laws, the more skillfully, and also the more you understand these laws, and the more skillfully you direct your thoughts for constructive and positive purposes. That means working on things that benefits all. The more disciplined your mind will become. Okay, so this is a very important thing, and we talk about the benefits of having a controlled mind is right. So this is very important to understand. The more you understand these laws, the more you learn to direct your thoughts into the right direction, you naturally started to discipline your mind the right way, the better way. Okay. So this is a very important finding I found about the law of cause and effect. And this is one of the laws that I've seen over and over again in many religions, especially through laws like law of cause and effect or law of karma, more specifically, I would say. I think for me, they are the same thing because what I feel the Buddhists specifically was lacking is that even though they knew they were affected by their past actions and thoughts and word, they didn't know how to develop better words and action. So this is the mechanism behind that. This is the mechanics behind that. Let's see. So now you might be wondering, okay, how do I use this law for my advantage? So how do you actually transform and control your thoughts? Again, that's why I even created the Komenji Institute to kind of literally do that, right? So help you develop better thinking, better thought system. But one of the main things that you can use to reprogram your mind or retransform your mind in a positive direction is through learning and journaling. So things such as books, especially personal development books, spiritual books, taking courses, same thing. I would say if you can start focusing on getting into reading more spiritual books, personal development books, professional development books, right? If you're in university, if you're taking courses, this is the way to reprogram your conscious mind and therefore subconscious mind, right? Especially things such as through workshops, right? Coming to sessions like this. And if you find a workshop is relevant for you, this is some of the ways you can actually reprogram your mind. Again, it's just a start. There's other steps you need to follow, but this is one of the first key steps that I did for my life in order to start thinking about things correctly. Again, we talk about this aspect called law of repetition is actually literally a law, the fourth law that we were talking about next week. Learning doesn't not going to happen in a day, right? The learning is a repetitive process, especially when you're learning new skills and new abilities. Learning how to learn is key, and repeating certain ideas that are good for you is very valuable. Okay, very important. It's not, just think about, I bring this example. Imagine you are in university and you have an exam, right? And then you read the textbook only once, and then the exam is out of the textbook, right? How much are you going to really remember, right? But now think about if you were to read the textbook about 8 times, how much would you remember then, right? So same with when you have to learn good ideas, right? If you find good ideas that is helpful and useful, repeat them. Especially, you might see some of these sessions that you would need to come. That's why even some of you who have been in my sessions from before realize how many times we talk about the same thing over and over again, right? Why? Because the repetition is needed. Training, coaching, especially because I consider myself more of a trainer than a coach, because trainer, you literally with them repeating the same thing, doing things for with them over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. So same with when it comes to teaching things to the subconscious mind, especially positive ideas, retraining and relearning with much of the repetition is needed. And you will see even some of my courses, certain subject matter, certain ideas, certain videos might be repeating. There's a specific reason for that because repetition is needed. Okay, so that's very important to understand when you're learning or mastering any skill, or when you're learning anything new that is valuable for you. Repetition is needed. Okay, and that's a key aspect. And the next one is creating a definite purpose for your life. What is your biggest desire? What is your biggest goal in life? And many people, unfortunately, don't think the goals and the desires they have, the things that they want to contribute to the world with, is doable. But that is literally the thing that you should be working on. From my experience, I wanted to become a public speaker, motivational speaker for a long time. I was like, that's not going to happen. Who can do that? That's, people like Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy can do that stuff. How can I? What I found was that the more I do things that is not out of my biggest desire, biggest goal in life, the more unhappier I become, the less control of my mind that I have, right? So you will see every one of you has a definite purpose, their biggest desire in life, how they want to contribute to the world in the massive way. They're all within you. It's the one of the things is that even when it flashes in front of our conscious mind, we don't believe we can do it. What I would say, not only you can do it, it is the thing you should be doing. And the more you run away from that because of fear or whatever reason it may be, the more you bring unhappiness to your life. This is, again, it's one of the hardest lessons that I have to learn for myself. And that's why I created Kohomanji Institute, is to literally teach people how to find their biggest desire and take actions in that direction. Because this is one of the things I wished I had somebody tell me, either coach or trainer or counselor, whoever may be. I wish, when I was going through my troubles, why don't you go work on your biggest desire? Why don't you work on the thing that makes you the happiest? Right? And you will see your biggest desire is the thing that makes you happiest. And because I'm working on my biggest purpose or biggest desire in my life, even when I don't get results right away, I'm still happy because I'm doing the biggest goal or biggest desire that is in my life. Right? So this is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself, is to find. And then the technique that I use extensively to help people recognize their biggest desire or biggest goal is this goal, or this technique known as regret minimization technique, which is essentially says that, imagine, project yourself to 100 years old, right? Say that you're 100 years old. Now you're looking around, you're thinking about, what did I accomplish in my life? Do you see yourself have written books? Would you have you created companies? What do you wish that you have accomplished by the time you're 100 years old? It could be 100, 120, however you think you will live for. What do you really wish that you have accomplished? So that's really how I came up with my biggest desire, biggest goal, my definite purpose specifically, right? So this is something I would also help everybody think about, because it is a very important thing to do in order to control your mind. It's not just setting a goal, it's actually to control your mind. It is actually to become happier. It's determined on that. Okay, so that's important to practice. So write down, even if you have a little bit of time now, what is, say you're 100 years old. What do you wish you accomplished? What do you wish you have? Would you wish you got married? Would you wish that you have children? Would you wish that you created companies? Would you wish that you had a certain title, right? Or written books, whatever may be, right? So think about that and see which one that is aligned with you the most. And that's the thing you should be working on. Then what you should do is create a definite action plan, or plan of action, definite plan of action to accomplish that desire, right? You don't need to take all the actions that is necessary, right? I would say even work with ChatGTP on this. So write down what is your biggest desire once you do have that, and say, create an action plan for me, right? And then you say, okay, create a 90-day action plan, and then create a 1 year plan, and then quarter by quarter, right? What I found is that planning your actions 90 days at a time. So I plan my actions 90 days at a time because it makes things a lot easier to plan and do, right? So every quarter has about 12 to 13 weeks. So I plan out, approximately what I want to accomplish in this 12 to 13 weeks in this quarter or in this semester, whatever you want to call it, right? So it is key to understand, okay, what are the things that I wish that I accomplished? So one of the things I wanted to accomplish was create a certain number of workshops, right? So that's what I'm doing now. And to write certain number of articles, that's what I'm also working on. So these are some of the things that I've set myself to do for this quarter in order to achieve my biggest desire. Again, this is again helps you develop more and more belief in yourself, more and more control over your mind for yourself. Okay, so it's important to remember that one. And the next one is that acting on your highest excitement, right? So out of the lists that you have created for your actions, what is the highest exciting actions that you can start with? Especially if you're struggling with procrastination, doubt, don't know how to proceed with your actions, what is the highest exciting thing that you can take action towards? So some of you might be completing your degrees, right? So identify, okay, what are the tasks that is I'm most excited to complete? What are the most exciting assignments that you would love to start right away, right? It could be, even if you're doing business, right? If you're in a you know if you're I know a lot of here people actually do have their own businesses. So ask yourself, what is the most exciting activity that you can take to improve your business, to make your business better, to contribute to your customers more, right? So ask yourself, what is the most exciting thing you can do to do that? And you will see, let your highest excitement be your guiding system to identify what you need to do. And this is literally how I do it. I was figuring out, okay, what am I going to talk about? What are the key laws that I can talk about? So instead of sitting around there and figuring out what to talk about, it's like, what is the most exciting things that I can talk about today? So the exciting that came up was law of belief, law of cause and effect, and law of substitution, right? So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to be talking about today, right? So use your own excitement to determine what actions you should be taking, and take action on those things. And when something is no longer enjoyable, a specific action no longer enjoyable, just move on to the next one and the next one, right? Don't get caught up in doing things if it's no longer exciting. Like even sometimes when I don't necessarily always enjoy working my slides, I go back to writing my articles, and then I go work in my courses, and then I come back to my workshops again. So I basically go from one after the other based on the excitement, and I have let that be my guidance system. So I would recommend highly for you to do that as well, because it does help you get better control over your mind. And another main thing I learned was develop a positive mental attitude, right? Having a positive mental attitude is a key factor to develop and get better control of your mind. I know many people think looking at things negatively or cynically actually is helpful. For me, I've realized is actually make you lose more control. It creates unnecessary fear. It creates unnecessary worry. Again, it's not something I knew. I thought like, oh, what's wrong with calling people out, or calling politicians out, or whatever? So if you're only talking about negative things about other people, and you're in a negative mental state because of that, that is not helpful. So what you need to do in order to develop a positive mental attitude is continue to act on your highest excitement. Put yourself in areas or things or do things that gives you excitement. It could be going to a yoga class, or it could be going into play basketball, play cricket, do dancing, going to church, right? Whatever may be. If it's going to give you a positive mental attitude, and it helps you to act on your highest excitement, that is the thing you should be doing. Again, this is, I wish somebody told me this in my career before. Not something I knew before, but doing this had have a huge impact on my life and my career and my well-being. So that's what I want to tell you about that. And another practice, the sixth practice that have been really helpful for me, is creating my own affirmation and gratitude list. I know some of you already are doing that here, but again, that's something I would say highly encourage everybody to look into, is creating your own things that you're grateful for, own set of beliefs, empowering beliefs. So what I mean by affirmations is your own set of empowering beliefs that you want to develop, right? So create a list of that, and then create a list of things that you're grateful for. That can keep you in a much better mental state than if you were to just, randomly think, oh, I should think positively, and then try to convince yourself to do that. But if you have a specific list that you can create right away, just start, working on your list right away. Think about some of those things that some of the beliefs that you want to develop, empowering beliefs, and then also things that you're grateful for, right? That can have a huge impact on reconditioning the mind and giving you a positive mental state. Okay. So that's one of the most important things. And so this is one of the prayer that I use. You can kind of use it and start with that in order to build your affirmation list as well. Again, this is something that has been very useful for me to get better control from my mind. Again, this is not one of the ones I created. It's actually, I learned it from Napoleon Hill. I just kind of replaced to to that matches my need, matches what I'm agreed upon, right? So it says, I thank the Father. You can replace all that is divine providence, universe, Buddha or God, whatever may be that resonate the most with you. So the key is to thank whoever believes, who you believe is giving you all these great things in your life, right? Much of you might not know, but I do believe in the Father, right? Even though I have a Buddhist background, we will talk more about that. I believe in this aspect of God that is I call the Father, but if it's what resonates with you is all that is, or divine providence, or universe, or Buddha, it's completely fine, right? So say, I thank the Buddha and ask for wisdom to use wisely the riches I received at birth, in the power to control and direct my mind to the end I desire, right? So I believe that one of the biggest things that we have received, most valuable gifts that we have received, is the mind. And even more valuable is learning how to use the mind for our benefit, right? So one of the use is that the more you can be grateful for these things, for the wisdom and for the mind itself, right? The universe have given you, the more you will see you will accomplish your goal and be able to control your mind, and then find the desire or accomplish your highest desires.